Hello, hello, Yoga 108 seekers and stages. I'm so glad you stopped in to take a listen today, to take a watch, I guess. I'm here with Lisa Cooper, and Lisa is a massage therapist. She's actually incredibly talented, and this body has gotten the benefit of her skills and her love and her goodness. So as we got to know each other a little bit, chatting around my sessions, I was super impressed by the scope of her skills and her knowledge and her capacity to bring those really forward and to communicate to my body in a way that really served me. So, you know, it feels good to go get a massage. It's always a great treat. I'll think, oh, around my birthday, I like to go get a massage, or when I'm on vacation, or perhaps for sweetest day, schedule that couples massage. But what I've come to appreciate, particularly the past few months, is how therapeutic and helpful a regular scheduled massage can be. So I invited Lisa to talk to us about this. She has a lot to share. And what I'd like to do is just give her a moment to tell us about herself. So give us a little rundown, Lisa. What's going on? Who are you?
Well, sometimes I say I'm a chameleon, but for the purpose of massage therapy, I graduated from Ohio College of Massage Therapy in 1988. And I also at that time took a little bit of Reiki, but the class was sort of split in terms of what direction they wanted to go after work, because back in '88, all you learned was the basics of massage therapy, anatomy, physiology, massage practical theory, and that's it. So any continuing education had to be done outside of school. So craniosacral therapy was coming into play at that time.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that was so old. Very cool.
It's been around a long time. So that's by Dr. Upledger. And then there's also neuromuscular therapy. Paul St. John would come to school and done a seminar on neuromuscular therapy. So where some of the people were going into a softer, more gentle, or more modalities such as craniosacral therapy, I chose pain management and went into neuromuscular therapy.
Very interesting. And both of those fields have grown so much since '88.
Yes.
You were right there. Because that was kind of the beginning of the conversation, the early '80s, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Very interesting.
So most of my practice then has been built around pain management. So I started to teach in 2005 and continued with more education in terms of myofascial release, stretching protocols, incorporating the myofascial release. Doug Nelson came into the school that I was teaching at that time and added another aspect to the neuromuscular therapy, osteopathic testing. So his modality is called precision neuromuscular therapy, and he has a lot of things on YouTube. So it just everything sort of adds on to what's already there.
Yeah.
But it still expands the practice because, like I mentioned before, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah, and it's interesting because so many fields are like that, like yoga's like that too. It's like different teachers bring their different perspectives, and if you're too singular, you end up being really limited in what you can do. It's like the more you can kind of experience and draw in, you become this alchemist with all these skills, which is why I think you're probably so excellent at what you do, because this is a nice broad spectrum. What else? I know you have more on your list.
So, well, in doing neuromuscular therapy at times, and then kind of going back to the Reiki and thinking it'd be nice to have a more jumped-or modality for the people that may have fibromyalgia disorders, or they have a higher degree of sensitivity as far as the reactiveness of their nervous system. So I started going back and finishing up my master's in Reiki. And on the heels of that, was introduced to eating energy medicine. And so that incorporates a lot of what's really based on traditional Chinese medical theory. So then I ended up going to acupuncture school.
Of course you did.
So there's a lot, just in terms of increasing my knowledge and understanding of what the body has to offer and all the different systems of the body. Right. Whether it's the neuromuscular junctions, whether it's the fascia that you can work with, whether it's just thermal exchange, the use of heat or cold to affect the change in the circulation or the tissues of the body the muscle's not going to let go, well, you can apply heat, you can apply cold, and you can get that increase in circulation because the body's made to respond.
Yeah, the body's kind of made to heal itself.
It is.
And one of the reasons why I love these kinds of conversations and strategies is because you're kind of trying to cooperate with what the body really wants for itself. Like you are entering a relationship
Yes.
of trust, and with this optimal wellness in mind, that the body wants to heal, you want to heal the body, and there's a helpful relationship.
Yes.
Compared to some, traditional Western medicine, which doesn't feel always as cooperative. So I guess that's my thought behind that.
Well, and that's a really good point because oftentimes people come in pain and they've been to other people, they've been carrying this burden for a long time, they can't get out of it, they've been on medications, they're near tears because it is a burden and they're tired. Pain is exhausting and it's real. And what's really, really important, and this is a really good point to learn for everybody because I say it over and over and over again in session. This is your sanctuary. You have to feel safe. The body has to feel secure. It has to be able to relax. So when we're doing therapeutic work or deep tissue work, deep tissue is relative, depending, relative to the person on the table. It could be a light touch for some person, but their nervous system might be, reacting at a 99%. It could be heavier for another person because their nervous system is not so reactive. So that's all relative, but the feedback in a therapeutic session, feedback from the client is extremely important because I need to know as a practitioner that that person feels safe and secure and they're comfortable. And I say this over and over again, it should never hurt. If I'm looking for pain, that's fine, but it should never be more than a 5 on the 0 to 10 pain scale of it hurts so good. Because if the body tenses or starts to think that there's an alarm, like I'm anticipating pain coming, it's going to set off the fight or flight mechanism, it's going to change the body chemistry, and we have to start all over.
Yeah, there is this wholeness synergy within the body too, it sets off that chain, and included in that are the beliefs, the psychology of it. And so when you've been sleep deprived, if you're carrying these pain patterns, that kind of pattern is well established, then you are a little edgy. And if there's a belief, because I think for some people with chronic issues like this, you come to hold the belief that the pain is never going to go away.
Right, the body's always on alert.
Always on alert. And you've tried this, and this. And so what you draw this really logical conclusion that nothing's going to help it. Nothing's going to help it. And when you have the belief nothing's going to help this, then nothing's going to help this. And when the body's on alert and it doesn't relax, then in fact, nothing's going to help it. So you could be this great therapist and have all these strategies, but if the person on the table is just wired and holding that pattern. Yeah. So the relationship is really, really important. The capacity to keep the nervous system calm.
So establish that trust right from the beginning.
Yeah. So I can see how, going back to where we started with this, how bringing in the gentler, which maybe just more subtle energy work into the therapeutics is probably one of the things that makes you such a master, if I can say so myself. She's really, really good. It's the appreciation of both. When that 1988 and the fork was there in the road, and you've managed to kind of capture both sides of that.
So I'll give you one example of being able to understand the whole person and why I consider it a little holistic approach. A gentleman came in and he's a psychiatrist. Not that matters, but he had a hip replacement. And I know from having worked on a previous client many, many years ago that when you approach an area that's been had invasiveness, whether it's a knife wound, which is the first individual I worked with, or surgery that they knew was going to happen, it was anticipated, it was a good outcome in the long run because now they have a new hip or knee or whatever it is. But when we're doing post-surgery work, it's really important as I'm working up the thigh toward where that incision is, to let the person know that I know exactly where I am, and I know they know exactly where I am. So it's giving them the comfort and the confidence and the awareness that I'm not just treating the soft tissue, but I'm aware of what they're thinking mentally and emotionally. Like, she's getting close, she's getting closer to the scar, like what's gonna happen?
Yeah, does she remember? Is she being careful?
Right.
Yeah, and some of that, even like what they're thinking, but also it's in the subconscious.
Yes.
Like the body holds that subconsciously that there's been, it's a trauma.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it was really nice because when he left the session that day, he said, "Thank you so much," and thank that other person that was here too.
Ah.
Because he understood,
Yeah.
as a psychiatrist, or a psychologist, he understood on that level that
Yeah.
I was taking care of that mental aspect as well, and the emotional aspect as well.
Yeah.
And being cognizant of it anyway.
Right.
So, but that's the important thing. And really that's where some of the energy medicine comes into play, because people might feel sort of out of sync or out of sorts, and they really don't understand what's going on. And that's the aspect of the traditional Chinese medicine that has the emotions. The five element is the emotional aspect. So it's being able to bring that in and see how that corresponds to whatever else physically might be going on in the body.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know for, my own work with you, how careful you are about grounding at the end of the session, because you can leave a massage feeling a little emotionally vulnerable, or I don't know, just like sensitive if you're not well grounded, as you leave a little disoriented perhaps. So that's an important way that you build trust with me and my body, like in my subconscious. Like me, Tracy, like I can look at Lisa and say, look, this is a nice woman. She's really nice. I can trust her. Like seriously, I'm really going to be safe here in this experience. But like on a deeper level, and where for my whole nervous system to relax, then there's that subconscious relationship that gets created. And he really felt that tangibly too. Yeah. Yeah. So not surprised. Not surprised. Yeah. And that sparkle in her eyes says, I'm going to take care of your soul too. I will.
Well, and a lot of it, I've been doing this for over 33 years now. A lot of it comes from the life experience with working with people.
Yeah,
So,
and probably your own experiences too. Like we always bring our own life experiences of what it feels like to have some of these different things happening in our personal. So yeah, living life on the rock. Okay, so I'd love to have a couple of minutes of your time describing the difference between like a regular massage, like this massage I get, like if I'm at an all-inclusive, or if, my husband just goes to Massage Envy and gets me a gift card. Like describe the difference between what I would say just like a regular massage and then the therapeutic work that you do.
Okay. There are two primary differences in massage that when we go to school, we learn the basics of what they refer to as Swedish massage, which is considered like a relaxation massage. So the idea is to increase circulation, reduce the stress level, kind of get the body back into a state of homeostasis where it can heal on its own. So it's kind of like stop worrying, let me off.
Yeah.
So I'm not really, when I'm doing that in my practice, I'm not really looking for any dysfunction in the soft tissue or trying to fix any pain issues or anything like that. There's not much conversation. There's always feedback. It's open from the client if they're uncomfortable, or if they want to stop, or if it's too light or too heavy pressure-wise, things like that. It's always an open scenario. But the basic idea is to just really reduce that stress level and increase circulation so the body can do what it does naturally.
So just like you say, it's a regular chill out.
Yeah.
Enjoy your vacation with a massage. Yeah.
It's very
relax after a stressful week, something like that. But basically you're talking about continued health and wellness. Like that would be great if you don't have any issues in your body, you just, want to get a nice massage.
right. And it helps, preventatively.
Sure. Okay.
Sure. For people that, have a busy, active life, but really don't have any primary issues physiologically or anything like that. They sometimes just come in and they'll, it's a maintenance.
Right, gotcha.
Maintenance.
Maintenance.
So Bob Hope used to get a massage every day.
He did?
He would get a massage every
Oh,
day.
that's really good. He was a celebrity. I mean, that's what the celebrities did. They get a massage every day.
But he wasn't like an athlete. Like you would
Gotcha.
expect that the pro athletes would get a massage. Again, it would be a different massage. It would be a sports massage or a therapeutic massage. But Bob Hope would get one just to, as a preventative, health maintenance, reduce the stress.
Gotcha.
I mean, how much stress can a comedian have,
I mean, it was a joke, Bob. Yeah. Okay, so then what would it be by comparison in terms of a therapeutic massage?
So again, in my practice, because some people may practice differently, but in my practice, we differentiate between a relaxation Swedish massage and a therapeutic medical massage. People usually come in with an issue. It's either pre or post surgery, like knee replacement or back surgery. It can be a sports issue. We do a lot with swimmers. Somebody that's doing golf or tennis or pickleball. Just being active in life. In Brecksville, where the office is, or this area, there are a lot of hikers, bikers, skiers, cyclists.
I wish I was cycling so much I knew about this, because probably like any of those repetitive action sports or repetitive, like cycling is that held posture.
Right.
Like it would have been really smart of me to be getting therapeutic massages through that time period when I was just like learning this, like locking this in so that 10 years later I could find Lisa and she could undo it for me, right? Stop the migraines. But yeah, it's really good to like put that right where people can see it. Like this is for people that do things that are hard in your body, that want to prevent injury, to want to counter some of the wear and tear and repetitive postural patterns. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, so it's either related to work.
Work.
Because that's the same with the computer posture. When we get looking deeper, going down that rabbit hole. So it can be related to work, having stress, it can be related to sports, or just activities of daily living. How many mothers are carrying their car seat or in the kitchen with their child up on their hip trying to do something, and then wonder why their back is out? Right. 3 months down the road. Yeah. It's always this hasn't all gone back to normal yet.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So, it just, again, activities of daily living. We do the same thing repeatedly, sleep on the same side, curl the same way. We all live it like this in the wintertime in Ohio. So
up to here.
We have to remember to stretch out and to elongate and lift, just like in yoga. Yeah. Stay lifted. But there's certain modalities that we use in therapeutic massage, again, like the neuromuscular, that extended education. Right. So neuromuscular that I use is based on the book by Dr. Janet Neuromuscular Pain and Dysfunction. And I think that's the name of it anyway. But she is the doctor that discovered and documented all the trigger point therapy. So you might have pain pattern. Sciatica is a classic one. I don't know what that is. So you might have pain patterns that are going down the leg, but the actual trigger points are in the glutes. Yeah. And so she did all the research and documented all the trigger points. Excuse me. Or you might have a band of pain across your lower back, but it's actually the hip flexors that are kind of pulling you forward and causing more strain back here. Yeah. A lot of people have tension in their neck and shoulders, but it might be because their pecs are pulling them round shoulder this way. So these muscles have to work harder than the back. So the trigger points are one of the modalities that we use. And then we also use Myofascial Release. So as you understand the nature of fascia, when it's soft, it'll stretch. But if you go at it quickly, it'll brace and harden. And so it's another modality that just takes time, working with the body, getting the tissue to elongate.
And holding that relationship of safety. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Other than that, it's, again, thermal exchange. If the muscle doesn't want to relax with trigger point therapy, or with fascia, or even with energy, heat. Because the body, it expands. The muscles are going to dilate. It's going to pull in circulation. So the muscle has to relax.
Yeah.
So there's different ways to affect.
And I know in my
change
sessions,
body.
you've used cupping.
Cupping.
And the interesting thing that someone had told me about cupping is like massage compresses inward, but cupping pulls outward. So like it's another way of releasing the
Yes.
fascia. Is that probably why you used it?
Yes, especially on the back.
Yeah.
Because like at the arms, you can pick up, the muscle and
And kind of,
kneading.
yeah, you can
Massage.
get underneath it in different angles, but in the back, not so much.
Right.
Gotcha.
So therapeutic massage is really supposed to be like a passive exercise where you're working the muscles again. So your therapist is just kind of doing this. It's not really a working massage. It's the whole essence of, and I used to teach massage, I taught for 10 years. So the whole essence of massage therapy is to create like a passive workout for the body. You want to work the muscle, work the muscle, work the muscle, and then flush out the lactic acid.
Gotcha.
So that's, but you're not taxing the nervous system that way. So it's really like a passive exercise for the body.
Right.
But again, on the back with the cupping, and cupping can be done in a number of different ways. You can leave the cup stationary for a couple of minutes. You can affect the underlying organs by putting them on and pulling them off.
Oh, okay, cool.
Rapid cupping.
Yeah.
Because it'll pull more deeply, kind of like forces fibrosis, or when people had lung congestion, things like that. They use the vibrating vests.
Oh, okay.
You can do the rapid cupping for that.
And that pulls deeper into the soft tissue organs.
Deeper into the organ systems, yes. Or the sliding cupping, which I like to do on your back. So I put the cups on and I do a slight lift. And I can do a nice stretch along the paraspinal muscles along the back or around the side.
Yeah.
And things like that. So
yeah. And I think like one of the things, even when I teach yin yoga and we talk more about the fascia and the reflexes of how the body protects itself against overstretch and that those sudden movements, this idea that we have a perception that we're stretching muscle, and hamstrings are tight. I want to stretch my hamstrings, but it's sort of a mislabeled idea. What we really want is the capacity for the muscle to contract to its fullest and for it to elongate to its fullest. And that doesn't happen unless the fascial material that's wrapping the muscle group, that's wrapping the bundles of muscles within the group, that's wrapping the threads of muscles within the bundles, that's wrapping the fibers of muscles within the threads within there's like this really multi-dimensional layered experience, and all of that fascia, when it gets dry and crunchy due to inactivity or dehydration, like whatever, aging, the things that contribute to that, like the muscle then cannot move because the fascial material doesn't allow it to glide. And so it's not necessarily all the time that we want to stretch the muscle. What we more accurately want to do is liberate the fascia so that the muscle can have its, and so the cupping and all of the soft tissue that Lisa's talking about, like having that worked through passively in a really thorough way. And this girl's thorough. It's like she's gonna get to muscles that my practice didn't get to today, right? It's like it liberates all of that fascia and sends the lymph through, sends the blood through, and then my muscles can glide on each other and they can move. And then this shoulder has way more mobility and my neck can turn much further than it used. So it's like that kind of a conversation that people, understanding the anatomy and physiology behind it can be really helpful. Yeah. What else do you do? Tell me more magic. Tell me all the secrets.
Well, it just as you're speaking, I'm getting some scenarios in my mind. I had one lady that came in and she was actually in a car accident. She was thrown from a car. So both of these scenarios were related to fascia. And because she had been thrown from the car and tumbled, the fascia responded like a shrink wrap to her entire body. And so I really think, based on my personal experience with people, that it has a very close relationship with fight or flight mechanism.
To the trauma.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
that's interesting.
even like if you've been in a car accident or if you've been in a scenario and all of a sudden you're going through an intersection similar to the one where the accident occurred and you see a car coming out of the same direction and you just feel that body go, it can reactivate those things. So those are again those similar muscle memory scenarios that can be reset, and we can work with the fascia, but also with tapping, like with the EFT and energy medicine, to reduce those triggers so you don't have that repeated alarm dysfunction
in the nervous system.
in the nervous
You
system.
can't really read it apart. Like you really, like as much as you think I'm just gonna get a massage or I'm just gonna do this, it's a whole system.
Right.
Like, yeah.
It's tied to the experience and the memory and the soft tissue.
And the emotionality of it
And that's where more of the study comes in, because I studied Candace Pert's book, Molecules of Emotion. And she's the one that had discovered the opioid receptors in the brain, but also determined that the body is actually the brain in terms of where memories are stored and how the body receives.
Yeah. I know a lot of my students read The Body Keeps the Score. So for those of you listening, I'll say it. And the body keeps the score. Like that same kind of conversation about, our stories and our experiences being contained within the system. So yeah, you can't really pull it apart. Trust, like goes back to what you're so good at, creating trust.
So the second scenario I wanted to mention too, I had a woman that came in like this. Walked into my office in this posture. She'd had migraines for over 10 years. She'd been on all kinds of medication. She'd been to many different doctors, therapists, et cetera. And nobody said anything about her posture.
Whoa.
So,
because you see this a lot.
As I talked to her about her posture, and she had migraines, we were able to start opening this back up through cupping and stretching and my deep tissue myofascial release. And she would have homework and exercises. But after a number of visits, I remember the day she came in tears and said, "It's the first day that I haven't had a headache."
Wow.
Yeah, that she could remember she hadn't had a headache in over 10 years.
Wow.
So, and I have her video will actually hopefully be on my website soon, so you can see her story.
Yeah.
But
that's really powerful.
That is one of the powerful benefits of understanding the body, looking for maybe the obvious, to me anyway. And just her being strong enough to ask her family for support. If you see my nose like this, tell me. And then doing her homework to keep her chin level and put her ears back over her shoulders. That's a stretch. A lot of us would think this is normal, but
for her,
she
she
put
felt
it
like that
down
was
as
a
a
big
stretch.
Yeah.
And then actually being able to do the stripping on the back and the cupping and
to break down that pattern that was held in the fascia.
To get deep enough to gradually open it up a little bit.
Because your neck is really dense with muscles, like they go deep in there.
Right. Well, even her scalp, the bottom of her scalp had become so tight. Like if you put your head back and feel ridges on the skin, the base of her skull was like a Shar-Pei. It had ridges of tissue that had been like gathered together.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
So little by little, those are softening up and leveling out.
That feels good.
So
that's really rewarding.
It's
for everybody, right?
It's
like for her too. This is the thing. You want to have results from the work you're doing. And for a lot of us, these kinds of wellness, and I'm going to call them alternative because they're not covered by insurance, right? It's like
integrative.
Yeah, it's like they're not really alternative. They're like imperative is what they are. But a lot of these come out of pocket, come out of our time, come out of our belief that there's a possibility of healing and that maybe medication isn't necessarily, pharmaceuticals aren't necessarily the best way for us personally, personal choice. But to have an experience like that and to be affirmed that, there are other ways and my body does want to heal and there are these other modalities that consider the wholeness of it so that this posture can look, because this is somatics. This is communicating to people, right? Like this was becoming a part of her personality, which then ripples out into what she's creating in the world. Whereas this, like eye to eye with people, that has a whole different relationship. So I'm so sure that as we change our posture, because it's not just this sweet woman. I mean, it's us, me too, like it's all of us. Like as we change our posture, we change our energetic expression, our experience starts to change, like things like that ripple. And so we want to know that our work and our discipline and devotion to our own health has impact. So I love that you captured that story on tape.
Yeah.
And that she's having such a good experience with it. Okay. Yay. All right, so let's see what else. Tell us a little bit more about when you say, like, let's talk a little bit more about specific injuries or patterns that people might have. So sciatic, shoulders high, neck. Like, what other things do people like? Are there abdominal issues that end up healing for something like therapeutic massage?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's
Gut health, maybe?
gut health, sciatic
Just
pain.
thinking.
And sometimes I joke about sciatic pain. It's like people really don't have any idea where I could spend most of my day. Like my butt and, my elbow and, somebody's backside. But that's critical. I had a lady that came in and she said, well, I have sciatica. My mother had it. I said, it's not genetic. And I opened the book, Travell's book, Myofascial Pain and Dysfunction, the Trigger Point Manual. And I said, this is the sciatic nerve. These are the muscles that overlay the sciatic nerve. And if you clear all the trigger points on all of these muscles so that the nerve can glide underneath the muscles the way it's meant to, you should be pain-free. Unless there's underlying physiological or anatomical issues, which there can be. All right.
Bone structure.
Right. So
attachment differences.
Right.
That kind of thing.
So we discussed those. Some people are actually born with the nerve that bifurcates the piriformis muscle. So that has to be a surgical connection. I had one client that I have a protocol that I use to treat sciatica, which is pretty successful, or has been over the number of years. But I did this protocol a few times. We had no results, no change whatsoever. I told her about the possibility of bifurcated muscle. She went and had an MRI or an ultrasound, something. Anyway, what they found was there was actually a blood vessel that was strangulating the nerve.
Wow.
So she had it surgically taken care of, and she's been fine ever since.
Right.
So, long shot is it could be a cyst or something else or whatever. But 99% of the time, it's just somewhere along the nerve pathway, those muscles are tight.
Right.
And they're not letting go.
Or even the quality of the tissues. Like it just needs to be loosened up and maybe worked more so it can glide. Which I guess is what you're saying when you say the muscles are tight.
Well, yeah,
So sorry about that.
Yeah. So because what happens a lot too is when people are sent for physical therapy, and it's okay if you're going to work a muscle, but if the muscle's already tight and you can't really exercise a muscle that's already semi-contracted. There's no place for it to go. So in my perspective as a massage therapist, the better scenario would be to relax the muscle, and then you can go back and retrain it and work it. Because as you mentioned before, full extension, full contraction, and that's really what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So that's, why some people don't have as much benefit when they do physical therapy is their potential.
Yeah.
So
I know one thing you mentioned was the variety of body languages.
Yes. So neuromuscular would be one of them.
Okay.
If I can't, and that's, like I said before, what most of my therapy has been from what I started with. And then I would go to myofascial release. If the muscle's not, if the nerve isn't deactivating to let the muscle go, then I'll back off and I'll do some stretching, or I'll even warm it up with a hot stone so that the fascia is softer, so it wants to release more quickly. So we'll do the stretching. And if that doesn't work, then we can use energy medicine. And that's polarity is what I started with before I started energy medicine. And basically anything that's between my hands has to come into balance. So
it's like the electromagnetics of it?
Yes, yeah. So even if I put it on this joint and connect on your arms, like so, okay, then anything in between that would have to come into balance.
Balance out the current, the electromagnetic travel.
So you just wait for that pulse to come in.
For it to find harmony and
Mhm.
Interesting.
Synchronize.
So it's the strategies, like you communicate with the body via these strategies
Yes.
in all the different ways. And it can be different for each issue, and it can be different for each body.
Each person, each issue, right? It
Yeah.
depends on what the body's willing to accept at that time. I had a swimmer, a high school swimmer that I had worked on for many years, and he had gone off to college, and he came in and he was in so much pain. He said, our coach only wants us to do ice baths. Ice constricts. And again, this is what people, they think, well, I have to put ice on it because there's pain. Well, ice constricts. So if pain is caused by a contraction over a nerve, of a muscle over a nerve, and you're putting ice on it, you can numb the nerve, but you're actually causing more constriction in the muscle that's pinching the nerve. So I got 2 hand towels, I wet them, I put them in the microwave, and I put the hot towels on his legs. So that would calm down the constrictions, bring in circulation, and relax the muscles.
Right. And this is like something that I hope as a healing culture we're kind of growing out of, is this singular treatment kind of idea. And we have so many different disciplines
Yes.
that we work within. Like coaches have one discipline and they have that exercise phys that they've learned. And it's just so helpful to have as many perspectives as you can so that well, ice bath for everyone, but look what happened to this kid when he went in the ice bath, so he needs something else. We need a different strategy for this body and that, because it's probably not just him. There's probably another kid or two on the team that could, benefit from something other than the ice. And so, I love that you have so many different tools to bring
Well,
forward.
it pains me that youth can be halted in their prime when there's still so much potential, or that anybody really, people just don't know how good they can feel. And I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to let people know you can feel amazing. You can really, really feel your utmost best if you give your body the opportunity to heal.
And I don't think therapeutic massage is the first thing on people's list. Whereas I'm finding that it's non-invasive, it's relaxing and feels good. And like seriously, it's really effective. You're really good at what you do, Lisa. And we can go to, we want to go to an orthopedic surgeon or something like right off the bat, when there's so many strategies within someone who has this level of skill and talent and knowledge and experience that I just really wanted to bring Lisa in so that she could lay it all out and we can say, oh my gosh, here's something that might be just right for this or that issue. Here's something I want to tap into so that I don't have issues. Because I do some of these activities and I know that over time that these things can happen, or I have a really stressful period of time happening. And I know from being there that you're mask on, super conscientious about what's going on and being clean and safe and healthy for yourself and your clients. So I think it's not a bad time to make an appointment. So how can we find you?
My office, I have 2 offices. I work out of my home in Northfield Center at the moment because of COVID, but I also have my primary location is inside the Brecksville Community Center. And if you need to look us up, we can schedule online at brecksvillemassage.com. That's the current website. I just recently changed to a new trade name called Brecksville Center for the Healing Arts. It's more all-inclusive. I have 2 other women that work with me. They're also very, very capable, and again, come out of health and wellness backgrounds. One was a physical therapy assistant and the other was an RN. So they're looking forward to working with people as well. And on that website, there's a book now button, and you can hit that and it will take you to the online scheduling page. If you have any questions, feel free to call me, and the number is listed there, or you can call me at, is that okay?
Yeah, please.
216-233-3670.
And of course, I will put all the contact information underneath the YouTube, in the YouTube description box, so you'll be able to see it. Or call me personally, because you know how I am. Just give me a text. I'll send you to Lisa. Always more than happy to help people find options, right? Just options, and not necessarily that any one thing is the answer for everyone, but that everyone should know, you know, what the menu is and be able to choose things and work with different talents and different skill sets and different modalities. So really glad to have you, Lisa.
Thanks.
Really glad to have you in my life. Yes, say one more
Just
thing.
wanted to say one more thing. You mentioned gut health before. Gut health and massage therapy is huge. That's actually how I got started.
Oh, crazy, really?
So,
oh, one more minute, don't leave yet. Tell us.
Here's the cliffhanger. My mother and I were in an auto accident. I was in my early 20s, and we were directed to go to a massage therapist by her yoga teacher. And so we went to this therapist, and she started working on my foot. I had no idea about reflexology. I didn't know what it was, but we do offer that as well. And she said, have you been having a problem with constipation? And I pulled my foot away from her thinking, how do you know what's going on in my gut when you're working on my foot? Well, she knew exactly what was going on, and I told her, and I hadn't told anybody else because I was young and ignorant. I knew what was going on wasn't
Well, it was
right.
in the 80s.
But
right? Like we didn't talk about our poop in the 80s.
Right.
Did we talk about poop in the 80s?
Yeah, no. But she probably saved me a trip to the hospital. But she taught me how to do self-abdominal massage. She showed me some exercises to do, which I still teach my clients and share with them as well. And it's a very, very good modality.
Yeah. It's all one system.
Yeah.
So nervous system, gut, foot.
Yeah. There.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's so perfect. Okay, so thank you for your time, and I will see you at the end of the week personally. And you guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sitting around and chatting with us. Reach out if there's anything we can do to support you, because we care. And we'll see you next time on Following. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.